The issue, if you go straight with polynomial chaos expansion, for lower, we have a discontinuity, in fact, in the parameter space because we have a shock propagating, and given on the value of the parameter, the shock is moving in time. So, in fact, we have a discontinuity in the parameter space, and this is characterized by oscillation of the output of the model for low order polynomial expansions. We need to solve this problem. We want to solve this problem because we would like to be able to build a surrogate model, a low order surrogate model of this complicated signal to decrease the cost of the computation, because the higher order you have, the more sample of the model you need to build the model, to build the surrogate model. So what we did, in fact, is we try to remove the singularity. We say, okay, the shock is depending on the parameter. Let's make the shock not depending on the parameter anymore by synchronizing the wave at the gauge. So here we have two signals depending corresponding to two values of the parameter x in solid and dashed line, and we introduce a fictitious time tau that depends on the parameter, in fact. And in this fictitious time tau, we see here that the shocks are arriving at the same time at the gauge. So now we don't have any more a discontinuity that is moving with the parameter. The discontinuity now is always arriving at the same time, tau equal to 0. How can we achieve that? How can we achieve that? Is by introducing an arrival time defined as the smallest value of the time such that the wave is exceeding a given tolerance, and we build a meta model we build the surrogate model of this arrival time. And from this arrival time, we define a fictitious time and a polynomial chaos expansion of the arrival time in this sorry, we have, it's not clear. We have a relation between the fictitious time and the time, depending on the arrival time. We build a surrogate model of the arrival time, and given that, we have an explicit representation of the signal, depending on the model of the arrival time and the projection of your signal in the fictitious time. So we have to build two models. One is the polynomial chaos of the arrival time, and two, the signal in the fictitious time tau. And from these two ingredients, we are able to build a model. If we look at the relative L2 error, so the root mean square error, what we propose, so this is the root mean square error with respect to the degree of the polynomial. The solid line corresponds to the direct non-intrusive spectral projection, so without removing the discontinuity, and the dashed line corresponds to the preconditioned non-intrusive spectral projection. So preconditioning meaning that we are preconditioning the signal, we are smoothing the signal. So the method improves the convergence, the error decreases for low order polynomial, but it's not amazing. I mean, we expected more. It was seducing. We have discontinuous signal. Oh, it's not discontinuous anymore. We get a smooth signal by making a time transform, and we only have a small improvement for a low order polynomial. The point is, we don't care about the root mean square error of the signal. We don't care about it. Why? Because we care about the posterior distribution. The goal is to infer the parameter. The goal is not to build a surrogate model. So the question is, what was the error we were making on the posterior distribution using either the full polynomial, the NISP, or the PNISP technique? And to do that, okay. To do that, we looked at the Kullback-Leibler divergence between, we characterized it by the Kullback-Leibler divergence between the prior and the posterior distribution. And so this is the information gain. And the information gain corresponds, in fact, to the entropy of the posterior. In that case, the channel entropy that characterizes the amount of information that is contained in the distribution. And in that case, we see that the P-NISP technique, in fact, improves the convergence, stabilizes actually the convergence of the posterior distribution. Okay. Yes, characterizes the shape of the posterior and not, yes.
But it's, I mean, this is saying the posterior is getting further from the prior.
No, but, yes, okay.
But it's not saying.
No, okay. So what we want is a posterior distribution if we have a polynomial of degree infinity, right? This is what we want. Yeah, or if it was a real model. So we want to look at the convergence of, so the distribution will converge to the true distribution with a higher degree, right? So what we want to have is a curve that is converging faster than the other one. This is what we want, right? You want to characterize the convergence, so of the distribution. So we look at the convergence of the entropy that will characterize the convergence of the shape of the distribution, and we want it to converge faster. So to do that, we look at the information gain and we look at the convergence of the information gain. Okay, and we want the information gain to converge faster. So this is how. Oh yes. You would okay. Ideally, we would like, okay, I understand your point now. Ideally, you would like the Kullback-Leibler divergence between the true posterior distribution and the posterior distribution, yes. But the true posterior distribution is not affordable. Yeah, so we need other way to characterize the convergence of the distribution. So, okay, I understand now your question. But I will discuss about this in the second part of the talk. Oh.
Before we move on to this, if you go back to your convergence curve with respect to the polynomial degree,
Yes.
but your curve is big, it's flat. Totally flat, right? Starting at
Yes. Yes.
degree 5.
Yes.
Do you know what's causing this?
I guess the signal is not, even though we are removing one of the discontinuity, the signal is not really smooth. Because we will get this kind of exponential convergence only if the signal is smooth.
Yeah, but it looks like it's not converging at all. It's flat.
It's decreasing, but you cannot see. You cannot see with. Maybe we need to go to a very higher order to get.
It's not even decreasing at -1.
It's decreasing very slightly, and maybe you need a very high order polynomial to get the other one. But if you want the exponential convergence, you need to have a smooth signal, and the signal is not smooth. You probably have some other discontinuities. Maybe we should have used another basis, like a wavelet basis, to catch it, but it's too complicated.
It would be nice to see what's causing the problem with the convergence.
Yes. But okay, so this is one point. But the point is also we have here an error of maybe 3%, 4%. And we have a huge noise. So I don't know if it's worth the effort going further. Yes. Yes, and the noise is large, so I'm not sure it's worth the effort going further than that. Oh yes, maybe there is an error in the integration of the signal. So I can skip this one. Okay. And now let's talk about the reduction of the Bayesian model. What we want to achieve is so we have here the full posterior distribution, and we would like to approximate the full posterior distribution with some projected data. And to compute this approximation, so imagine here you have n data, you would like to go to r data with r much smaller than m. This is one of the goals. So one of the goals is to reduce the dimensionality of the data. The other one is if you are using a polynomial chaos expansion with the reduced observation, you have less parameters to learn, so it should be easier to learn. And to achieve that, in fact, in that case, given that the prior is a uniform for a given noise, we know that the posterior distribution is given by this formula. So the natural way, the intuitive way, if you look at this formula, the intuitive way to project your data is by projecting according to the Mahalanobis distance, which is the norm induced by the inverse of the covariance. And making this projection, in fact, is quite easy. It's a simple algebra problem, and we can make the reduction using the singular value decomposition. Since my covariance in is parameterized, I pick the parameter for the map, and I use just one value of the covariance as the map, and I make the reduction with respect to the basis given by this singular value decomposition. So I'm using the SVD or PCA or whatever you name it, POD maybe, using this metric. And we will look now at the convergence of the entropy for this distribution. So I compare here a standard SVD with in solid lines and a Mahalanobis SVD with a Mahalanobis norm in dashed line. So this is the entropy with respect to the dimension of the reduced space. And if we look, we cannot say much about which one is the best, even though the Mahalanobis norm seems to converge faster. It's not clear if we have a real gain. But the thing is, entropy is only characterizing the shape of the distribution. Meaning we have, if we say if the distribution is very concentrated or not, but it won't characterize the location of the distribution. So we can have a very concentrate, but very far away from the mean. So we need to look at the relative distance between means. I pick as reference the distribution with the richest model, and I look at the relative distance between means of the best distribution I could get with a reduced distribution. And here we see a huge improvement in the location of the posterior distribution. No, do you have any questions? It's not clear. Okay. Are you fine? Yes? So just a summary of the first part of the talk. We propose here methods dedicated to a Zannoni model for the propagation of uncertainties, for the Bayesian inference of source parameters, as well as reduction techniques that preserve the structure of the posterior distribution. And the perspectives, in fact, for this work is first to be able to do some Kalman filtering with adaptive mesh refinement for the optimal estimation. And it's not an easy task because if you have an ensemble, each member will have his own discretization, his own grid. So you cannot mix the algebraic value of the field. You need to work on the continuous field if you want to be able to make the optimal estimation. Actually, it's a work in progress. And the other question that is raised by this last part about optimal reduction is, can we define, so the definition here of the reduction was purely intuitive. I mean, I have a posterior distribution with this form. I will make the reduction according to the norm given by that. But can we define the reduction in an optimal way? And this is the point of the second part of the talk.